The main idea behind this trailer was really to capture the emotion of a COG soldier on the front lines of battle, fighting day in and day out, and really seeing what that does to him. He doesn't know if he's going to die in 5 minutes or in 2 weeks, let alone worrying about winning an entire war. We wanted to change it up and not focus in on Marcus and Dom like the other trailers had, but we wanted to take a look at Cole and Baird and see how they've been holding up throughout this horrific war. So once a concept for the trailer is locked down, my next step is to storyboard the whole video. And as you can see from these images, I'm no artist, so be nice about my stick figures. No, in all honesty, a storyboard this rough is just to block out all the scenes and to lay out the whole video. After the rough storyboards are completed, I sent them over to our artist Eric, and after giving him the details, the mood, the atmosphere about the trailer, he goes through and does a final version. And as you can see, he really did an amazing job. He really captured the emotion and feeling of every one of these shots. Now that the concept and storyboards have been finalized, it's up to the UDK and animation specialists, Jordan and Dave, to really bring this trailer to life.
Hey everybody, welcome to Treadster Media. My name is Dave Tyner, and today I'm going to be showing you a little bit about my area and the work that I did on the Gears of War 3, What Have I Become trailer. This is the 3D Max file, for Gus, the Gus character. This is the part where he's just kind of idle, staring at his hands. I know some of you guys had a problem with the hands. I must say I can't agree with you more, and had I had to do over, I would have definitely put a lot more expression in the hands. I learned a lot about that one. In any case, so this is just a sort of him sitting there, and it's a looping animation of him staring at his hands. Now there's also, he's comprised of a biped skeleton. Basically what I can do is, I created a number of animations for this piece, one of them being the limp. So if I want to load that limp, it's just right here, Cole limp. So I open it up, so there he is, and if I scroll through, there he is doing his thing. Doing his little limpy bit. Right, so basically what I do is I create these animations, and then I would take and export them out to Unreal via this handy dandy Actor X plugin for 3D Max. Just create the file, give it a name, tell it the range, and open up the manager, create it, move it out, and then save it. Okay, so another thing we did was the scene where it's called the red shirt, where the generic soldier gets capped as Cole is drinking his canteen and looks over at him. It's done a couple ways. We used a model from Gears as the body, but for the helmet, I used the Rayfire plugin and created a fracture, and then we blew half the head off. So I created the fracture. Let me just show you here. And then a certain ways into it, bam! Just the whole head just gets blown away, right? Bam! What Kucher did then was I exported this all to Unreal for him, and then he took and put some blood in it, put it on a headless generic soldier, which would be a lot like this guy, and movie magic was made. It was a pretty awesome shot, I thought, and I was really happy with the way that turned out.
I was extremely fortunate to be involved in the production process very early, and what this allowed me to do was talk to Graham and let him know what could and couldn't be done with the Unreal Engine and the Unreal Engine's limits, and this was very helpful because it made my job a lot easier down the line. So what I needed to begin with is setting up the assets that we needed to use for the trailer, and this was all the Gears of War 1 and 2 assets. So now that I had all the assets set up, or most of them anyway, I had to get on to designing the set from scratch, and what this entailed was going back and looking at the different concept drawings that Eric had done, as well as the ones Graham had done, which were quite interesting, and I had to go back and look through those and just kind of keep taking pictures of the different stuff I set up and send them to Graham to see what he thought. And this was resembling what looked like it was a field just outside of a forest that was next to the ocean, which included the ships that Graham thought would be a cool idea to add. So next we had to do some animation, and we knew that we couldn't use in-game animations because we had to be very specific for what we wanted. So what we did was we contacted Dave Tyner, which he ended up helping us a lot in this project, and I talked to him, I told him what we needed, and in the end he started animating, and what I needed to do then while he was animating was set up the Previs shots. And during all this, I was also just keep on adding stuff to the set, little small things that I thought needed to be there just to make it more of a gritty environment. So then I set up all the Previs shots, which I sent over to Graham, and they were all very similar to the storyboard. I just went through shot for shot, matching it up to, I just had a static Cole walking through the battlefield. He wasn't even walking, he was just kind of moving. He was just completely stiff. It was funny, but all that was for was just setting up the shots early while I was waiting for animations, and what that did was let me get all the cameras set up early so I could work on other things while I was waiting for the animations still. So setting up the final Kismets and matinee sequences were very, very difficult. I had never been to that length to set up any kind of cinematic in a game, and what I had to do were several things. First, I set up the Nemesis, which were flying things that were up in the sky the whole time. That was a separate Kismet, which I just had them looping, just to add some variety in the sky when the camera had flipped around. Next, I had to add the initial matinee, which included the walking sequences, and which I got the animations from Dave, so I went through and set all those up. I had to keep on bugging Dave for changes in the animations to match what Graham wanted, and I just kept throwing stuff back and forth with Graham for approval. Eventually, I got everything set up, all the matinees and everything, all the animations were all done and flowing perfectly, and so what that meant was I could finally go through and run a dump movie command, which is just rendering out each frame separately, because this map would not run good at all. It was just full of dynamic lighting and stuff, just huge no-nos when you're putting together a game, so I had to go and put a dump movie command together, that way it would not drop frames or anything. And then that was it. I had the final footage, I sent it off to Graham, and he edited it together. Thanks everybody for sticking around for this behind the scenes look of what went into creating the Gears of War 3 fan-made trailer, What Have I Become?